Welcome to the Infrastructure Think Tank's Explainer series. In this episode, we explore one of the most critical and often misunderstood aspects of public-private partnerships, PPPs. Their role as a financial mechanism for governments to develop infrastructure projects. While PPPs are often celebrated for bringing private sector expertise and efficiency, they also serve as a financing alternative that allows governments to deliver infrastructure faster, especially when public funds are limited. However, this financial motivation comes with both opportunities and risks that policymakers must carefully balance. Section 1. Understanding the financial motivation behind PPPs. The financial motivation for PPPs can be divided into two key perspectives. 1. The accounting perspective, which looks at how PPPs are treated in national accounts, whether the debt appears on or off the government's balance sheet. 2. The cash motivation, which reflects the government's desire to access external funds without immediately impacting its annual budget. Both motivations are valid, but they must be approached with transparency and a clear understanding of the fiscal implications. Section 2. PPPs as an alternative method for financing infrastructure. At their core, PPPs provide an alternative to direct public financing. Instead of funding infrastructure through government budgets or sovereign debt, governments allow private partners to design, build, finance, operate, and maintain assets, often through a special purpose vehicle, SPV. Here's how it works. The private partner raises funds through a mix of equity and debt. The project is financed, built, and operated at the private partner's risk. The government or users then make payments over time, depending on whether it's a government pays or user pays PPP. This model can accelerate infrastructure delivery when public borrowing is constrained by fiscal limits or debt ceilings. However, governments must remember that off-balance sheet financing does not mean zero fiscal impact. PPPs still create long-term payment obligations, which can strain future budgets if not properly managed. Section 3. The hidden fiscal commitment, even when it's off the books. Even when PPP liabilities don't appear as public debt in national accounts, they still represent long-term fiscal commitments. Governments are obligated to make availability payments, performance-based subsidies, or even step in if the project fails, all of which create explicit or contingent liabilities. Recognizing this risk, several countries now impose legal limits on PPP commitments, often expressed as a percentage of total capital expenditure or GDP, to maintain fiscal discipline and avoid overexposure to long-term obligations. Section 4. The cash motivation. Accessing funds without immediate fiscal pressure. For many emerging and developing economies, PPPs serve a more practical purpose: access to cash and liquidity. Through PPPs, governments can deliver infrastructure without allocating funds in the current or near-term budget, avoid increasing sovereign borrowing in the short term, and mobilize private capital from investors who may be unwilling to lend directly to governments. Even if the PPP is ultimately recorded as public debt, it offers a structured, transparent financing arrangement dedicated to a specific project. This clarity often attracts institutional investors and development finance institutions, DFIs, creating a more credible financial framework for infrastructure delivery. However, governments must resist the temptation to use PPPs solely as a way to bypass budget constraints. The goal should always be value for money, VFM, ensuring that PPPs provide efficiency gains, lifecycle savings, and service quality that justify the higher cost of private finance. Section 5. Balancing financial innovation with fiscal responsibility. In essence, PPPs offer governments the ability to do more with less, but not without responsibility. They can accelerate national infrastructure pipelines, attract private capital, and distribute project risks more effectively. Yet without rigorous financial appraisal and transparent reporting, PPPs can lead to hidden debt accumulation and future fiscal stress. The key lies in balance, using PPPs where they create measurable efficiency and value while maintaining strong public oversight and clear accounting standards. Conclusion: public-private partnerships are not free money. They are a sophisticated financial mechanism. When designed properly, they unlock capital, accelerate development, and sustain growth. When misused, they can burden future generations with opaque obligations. At the Infrastructure Think Tank, we believe that understanding the financial DNA of PPPs is essential for Africa's development trajectory. Join us in our next episode, where we'll explore how governments can evaluate value for money in PPP projects, ensuring that every naira, shilling, or dollar spent translates into long-term impact and shared prosperity.